وضعیت امنیتی، وضعیت خب سنتی کشوری را قبول نمیکنه که خانم‌ها بتونن که همراه بایسکل رفت آمد خود پیش ببرن.
Riding a bike here for women is far from simple. So we realized we needed to get deeper with each of their stories and understand what it was like to be a young woman living in Afghanistan, and also understand the cultures and traditions around what makes cycling still controversial and taboo. My name is Sarah Menzies, and I'm the director of Afghan Cycles. I started this film about 2.5 years ago when I came to meet the national team based out of Kabul. After that first production, we realized that there were more teams popping up around the country. So what started off as this film just about the national team has now broadened into how the sport is taking off for women in other parts of the country. Now granted, it's happening in pretty progressive parts of the country. We've seen more teams popping up in Kabul, we've seen teams out in Bamyan, but it's still controversial and even a death wish in many parts of the country that are run by the Taliban. We're out in Bamyan right now in central Afghanistan on our third and final production of Afghan Cycles.
اینجوری رقابت سالم است، هر کسی که اول شد سیز تیم خود تقویت میکنه.
زهرا حسینی هستم، کسی که برای اولین بار در حدود 2.5 سال پیش بایسکل سواری را برای اولین بار در ولایت بامیان آغاز کردم و تونستم که
When Zara moved to Bamyan, she quickly felt the effects of living in a rural community. It can take hours of walking down dusty roads or paths to get into town or to school. As men passed Zara on their bikes, she realized that there was an inequality in her community, and she wanted to be able to ride too. She started with just 8 other girls who she's trained to compete in local races. And that club team is now made up of young women who all commute by bicycle. The club team in Bamyan identifies the bicycle from 2 different points of view. First, it can be used for sport and competition, but to do so, you need to train. And second, it can be a vehicle for transportation that everyone can use. The bicycle is a very common thing to see throughout Afghanistan, but seldom do you see a woman riding a bike for her commute. Zara said that she has never witnessed another girl in any other province using a bike as they do, going to school or work, running errands. She's only seen this happen in Bamyan. Working on this film for the last few years has allowed us to follow the girls from their teenage years now into their early adulthood. And what that's shown us is what life is like for a young woman living in Afghanistan. It's also exposed us to the cultural and traditional hurdles these girls are up against and what makes riding a bike so difficult.
خانومشان، دخترشان یا که مادرشان در بایسکل سوار شود و بخواد که بیرون برای خرید، برای رفتن به جای.
One of the reasons cycling is still considered taboo for women is because of the clothing many people believe she should be wearing. Simply put, if she's wearing a burqa, hijab, or even a long skirt to cover her legs, then she wouldn't be able to straddle a bike seat. Girls like Zara don't believe that this needs to be an issue anymore and have found ways to ride a bike and still dress in accordance with the Quran. But when we look at society as a whole, very few people agree with her. What's inspired me through the process of this film is the story of these girls. They're up against so much and have so many hurdles to overcome in order to do what they love, but you ask them if they want to go on a ride and the answer is always yes. That's how happy riding a bike makes them. And the fact that they can still do that, even amongst the climate and the culture that they live within, it's what's kept me working on this film for the last few years and wanting to be able to tell their story.
در وقتی که سوار بایسکل میشم 2 پایم هست، 2 تایر دیگه بهم کمک میکنه تا از همون بدیها یا مشکلاتی که دارم زودتر فرار بکنم و این خودش امیر بهم میده که یعنی احساسی میکنم که نزدیک میشم به خوشی ها و برام چیزی که فکر بد هست دور میشه.